I became a monk when I was very young. I was 21, but I had already lived a lot in those years up to 21, and I had been involved in music, in acting, different arts, and also I studied English literature, and so I still have an appreciation for all of that, but I don't play music or do any acting. However, sometimes I do read novels or poems, and I get a lot of inspiration from that. Now my life is very much about communication, but communicating mindfulness and compassion. And there is a sort of performance aspect in that I do a lot of public speaking. So I'm still expressing myself creatively, but with a different motive. Spirituality, I think, means to take responsibility for your own mind and to understand that there's a deeper potential inside the mind, and to then use methods to access that potential, and to realize that there's more to life than meets the eye. There's something deeper. But there needs to be training, otherwise spirituality is just an idea. There needs to be a technique or training or a path, and there are many paths, of course, but it requires some work. Otherwise it could just be a nice idea which doesn't go anywhere. Once I asked my teacher if I could have some time to go on holiday, and he said, "But your whole life is a holiday." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, if you meditate, then you have holiday all the time because you're learning to enjoy the moment. So I don't think you need any time off if you're living your truth and living what makes you fulfilled. But sure, I rest my body when I need to. I don't really have any hobbies. This is my hobby. I'm living my hobby." Mindfulness is meditation, of course, but I think nowadays people are using the word mindfulness more than meditation. Maybe because meditation has something of a religious image, and mindfulness has a more neutral image.
Yes.
It feels like it's for everybody. But it's the same thing. It's training the mind. Training the mind in focus, in reducing stress, being more present. And then when you ask, why is it so relevant? I think it's so relevant now because we're so stressed. Our society is more stressed than ever. And also, we're less present than we used to be because we're always looking at our phone. And we're always somewhere else mentally. So people really are desperate to find some method to be in the present moment. When I started to teach mindfulness 20 years ago, people didn't like to talk about stress. They were more embarrassed to say that they were stressed. Maybe it meant they had failed if they said they were stressed. So now there's more conscious awareness. People are more open and saying, yes, I'm stressed. In fact, nowadays, it's normal to say, I'm totally stressed.
Yes, it's like the new, how you do?
Yeah.
I'm fine, thank you,
Yeah.
how are you? It's just
Yeah.
the same stress, but
Yeah. In fact, now if you say, how are you, you have to say, I'm busy.
I'm busy. Yes.
Because that means that's like how you should be. I think sometimes people think mindfulness needs to be only the pleasant moments, but actually it's all moments, even the unpleasant ones. And a major component of mindfulness training is to learn to accept how things are without judging them. And of course, pain is very difficult and it's real. I'm not saying it's all in our mind, it's real, we have pain. But how we relate to the pain is something you can change. You can relax into pain, you can accept it, you can stop pushing it away, and then the pain will change. So actually one of the fastest ways to progress in mindfulness practice is to work creatively with suffering, not just trying to look for a good time all the time. There is no good time, there's only this time, and what this time is what you work with. Mindfulness has a very profound positive effect on our mental health, and it can be very helpful for depression and anxiety and other types of issues. But if the person has a mental health issue that's quite serious, then they need a very good teacher to discuss whether mindfulness is the right approach at this time, because it could not be. It could be that it would make it worse. So one needs a teacher to discuss this with, and in some cases sitting down and meditating could make things worse. So maybe something more physical, like yoga, for example, or even gardening mindfully can be a very healthy thing, or art, doing art therapy. There are many different ways to practice mindfulness, and so for severe mental health issues, it's not such a good approach to sit down and meditate. Not yet, anyway. When you practice mindfulness, it's very good to have the motivation that you want to benefit others. So your mindfulness practice is to heal the community, because if you change, then your view of the world changes and your relationships change, and you can start to create change around yourself. Of course, if you have an entire community meditating together, that would be very effective. And I think bringing mindfulness into schools is the way to start that, because then you're creating tomorrow's leaders from a mindful perspective. Compassion is really important because it's what holds the whole world together. Without compassion, our society becomes very destructive, and we know this, we can see this. We can see the problems and how they relate to a lack of compassion. But I think real compassion is where you understand other people's story, even the enemy. You understand their pain, their story. And I think empathy and sympathy are just a feeling where you feel some kind of sadness when you see other people suffering. But that's not enough, because then you're just drowning in sadness. It's like falling down a deep hole. Compassion is where you're actually working to change things for the better and to help people. There's a sense of intention with compassion rather than just a feeling.
Which leads to action.
Yeah, compassion is action, not just feeling. So there's more awareness now, more openness, but I also think the stress is worse. And I think it's mainly because of technology. Technology is good. I'm not anti-technology, but there is a dark side to technology, which is that it's made us more distracted. It's made everything faster, and we can't keep up with that speed. I don't think the human body and mind can handle that level of speed and constant information. You know how we used to live when we lived in the fields or on the farm, and everything was more natural. We wake up with the sun, we go to sleep with the sun, we're looking after the animals or the fields. That's a more natural way to live, but now we're living with screens all the time. This is why mindfulness is so useful, because we can use it to give us some protection, and then we can stay in the busyness of life, because we're not going to throw our telephone away. We're not going to stop this interaction with technology. But we can use mindfulness to give ourselves some mental protection and some space, little moments of space throughout the day, so that when we are involved in that speed, we don't get so affected by it. I think it's like mental fitness. And we need to adapt to our environment. And our environment is quite toxic. So we need to adapt our minds so we can stay fresh in that toxic environment. Then it's okay. Then it's okay. Well, yes, I think you can use technology in a useful, healthy way. And of course, there are lots of mindfulness apps, and also just to watch videos of inspiring talks online. I mean, this has made it possible for people to learn these things when they live really far away from any center or teacher. That's great. Look at how many people are watching inspiring talks on YouTube or whatever, and getting information they would never normally get. That's the beauty of technology, is creating communication. We get addicted really easily. Social media is very addictive, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think it's made us addicted to needing stimulation and distraction, and needing other people to make us feel better. You know, if you're counting how many likes you got, and then your whole existence is dependent on validation by others. That's quite harmful, I think. And one of the problems with social media is people have lost the ability to enjoy the present moment. They need to photograph the present moment, send it to everybody to ask if they enjoyed it. And then when you get 1,000 likes, then you feel you can enjoy. Mindfulness means you learn to enjoy the moment without needing other people to tell you it's okay. And to enjoy any moment, not only pleasant moments, but also just boring moments, just to sit on a chair or sit on a bench in the garden or the park and just enjoy this moment. We're reconnecting with a natural sense of enjoyment. I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm a monk, so I'm celibate. So I do live quite an extreme version of sexuality, which is no sexuality. But that doesn't mean that I'm telling everybody they should be celibate and they should be monks. It's a choice. So for me, the choice is just to completely abandon that lifestyle and work with meditation. And I think for people who are not monks, I think it's all about balance. I think we should learn how to not get addicted to anything, but come from a mindful place.
Because it's a strong power, the sexual energy, and
it is
leads the wrong way.
Well, I think the problem is that people are not happy within themselves, so then they're seeking some kind of experience from another person that will make them happy. And then it just makes them more hungry. And so they're always looking for something and not finding it, or just finding short moments of relief. It's like scratching all the time to get relief, but then the itch is worse. Yeah, people are very stressed, maybe unhappy, and then they go to the other extreme. They stay up for 3 days dancing and partying and thinking that that's happiness. But it's not really, because it's just an altered state of reality. And then you spend Monday to Thursday waiting for Friday to come. And that's not a great way to live. They don't know how to accept the moment, so they're looking for another moment. But if you really truly accept this moment, you don't crave distraction, because this moment is happy for you. And I think people live in a very split world where either they're waiting for distraction or they're distracted.
Yes.
You know? And to be present and to be happy with this moment, moment to moment every day, means you're not waiting for Friday to come, you are here right now. I think happiness is about total totally embracing reality with no argument. No more argument, just how it is.
And not looking for the next exit.
Yeah, this moment is all we have, and if we can embrace it with love, whatever the moment is, that's happiness. Good.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice questions.